Peace zones for life. Peace zones for life. Peace zones for life. Peace zones for life.
The other thing in relationship to the amount of deaths is that we had a number that was related to those deaths that we considered to be police-related deaths. I talked to D.C. Tolbert and A.C. Godby at the time. D.C. Tolbert told me, he said, well, some of those deaths we considered to be suicides. So I went back and wanted to check on those in relationship to seeing how we rate what's happened as opposed to what the department relates to what's happened. Because one of the big issues here is how we communicate with one another. Now, yes, it was to have been given. Ms. Morris gave it to me, gave me some numbers and some information the next day. And I have to admit, over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever, how long it's been, we've been very, very busy doing a lot of things. Come to this meeting several times and raised the question. We don't have any reason to keep that, you know, and I could provide it to you next week what we have. So I just think we have to come to a point where we not try to say, I got you in public, that something we can do privately. I would have said the same thing to the chief in private that I'm saying to you in public. And before the commission, since I presented it to you, I will present it to you next week. But I just really think in this city, we have to get beyond the contentiousness. Our demonstration was peaceful. People said what they had to say, and we raised what we had to raise. I talked to officers about it, talked to the command staff about it, and that's it. I want to leave it at that. This city is going to get somewhere only because we do not try to embarrass and confront each other in public, but that we try to work together in private and public. You know, so that's where I am with that. I'm sorry that we get to this point where we're trying to see, this is not about Ron Scott, it's not just about Chief Edmonds. This is about the city of Detroit, and that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Through the chair, two issues, Commissioner, that I want to address. First of all, Mr. Scott, thank you for your forthrightness. The issue that took us aback was when the chief committed this week to meet with you, and then to hear about a rally before we had an opportunity to talk to you about any issues that we could vet relative to the situation ongoing. That's the primary issue. Secondly, in the presentation that was raised, there was a reference made to 8 fatalities in 2009. Deputy Chief Tolbert put on the record, and we provided information, there were no fatalities at the hands of Detroit police officers for calendar year 2009. And we do not want that information unrefuted. So the documentation we're referring to is relative to your support that there were 8 fatalities. Yes. There were none at the hands of Detroit police officers in 2009.
Well, we have a question about that. We raised that because we said, and at least one, if not others, that we spoke to at that particular time, where there was an individual in Southwest Detroit who was shot in the head, and the question was whether or not officers went in and shot him or whether he shot himself. And that was the question. There were some other ones that we were going to talk about privately in relationship to whether or not those were police-related. When we say police-related, we would mean where police are involved in a shooting on the scene. You know, you may have a different kind of analysis of it, and those are the things that we have to do to determine whether or not we're talking about the same thing. As opposed to the rally was only determined that it was going to happen on Sunday by a number of people. Since that time, I've been working, and a number of people have been working. But I called yesterday. I did not call today. I called yesterday, and I didn't reach anyone. It was late last afternoon. So today, when I called, it was a honest call. And so I don't really appreciate the fact of making some suggestion that it was disingenuous. Not at all. You know, I called when I had a chance to call.
Right. What I really want to do is I want to try to have you guys talk, but I don't want to have running dialogue in this medium, because this is a public comment.
Right.
And there are other people that really need to come up and have the opportunity to express themselves. So although I appreciate the necessity for the dialogue, I still want to encourage both the chief's office and you to have that discussion, have that dialogue, and then, you know, maybe we can have some other public dialogue after that, okay?
Yeah, I just felt the need to, you know, I don't bring any contention to anybody here. I just felt the need to say that
Well, I
on the
understand.
record, that's all.
Well, the chief got the ball rolling,
Right.
and then, but I just really don't want to turn this into a
Gotcha.
debate, you know?
Gotcha.
So let's, you know, and thank you, Ron, for coming, and you're going to reciprocate with the chief's request. Is that, did I get that?
Thursday of next week
Okay.
at 1:30.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this is for clarification, not debate. Uses of force as categorized by the Department of Justice consent decree are crystal clear.
Okay.
And there were no uses of force that resulted from the Detroit
Okay.
police officer and that resulted in death in
Okay.
2000. That's unequivocal.
But let's have that dialogue, not in this meeting, okay?
Yes, sir, but this is a public
No, I
record.
understand, I know, but we can go butt all day long and then we have,
Yeah, because I had to come back and say I disagree.
that's right, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. So rather than do that, I want you guys to sit down together and have that discussion, okay? I understand, Chief, I really do. Okay, thank you.
I'm Trinetta Roach, private citizen. I'm a member of the 12th Precinct, resident of the 12th Precinct, a member of the Wilbert Green Acres Radio Patrol, and a member of the Wilbert Green Acres Community Group member. I do not speak for these organizations, however, I am in touch with the sentiments of our community members. And in the past few weeks, we've all been heartbroken by the developments in our city, most especially by the death of young Ayan Jones over on Lily Bridge. Given that information and given the fact that the investigation is still ongoing by the state police, it is our hope that our citizens and our police commission and everyone around the city would remain patient for the findings of that committee, of that investigation. There is a great deal at stake in terms of our support of our police officers, as well as our support for good police practices. We are always supporting good police practices, but first and foremost, we are supporting our police officers. We have a great deal of work here in the city, and the atmosphere of lawlessness has been so prevalent in the city for so long that our concern is that that's become the norm. And then when the police have stepped up to push back, we hear the complaints. We don't want police to step back. We want our lives. And as aggressive as the criminals have been in damaging our lives and our quality of life, we want the police to stand up for us.
Yes.
I'm not going to be calling a carjacker when I need help, because they're the ones who are plaguing our communities, the B&E people, the carjackers, the abductors. And we have had all of that within next door, 2 doors from me, across the street, and we're just trying not to be the next one. Oh, what, we are the next one. We've had the B&E as well in the last 3 weeks. That is the fact of our life here. Thank you.
Thank you.